All right. Thank you everybody for coming to our presentation tonight. We are the Phoenix Fires, and we are presenting our development process for Tots Tummies. My name is Jack Witzke, and my teammates are Feiyuan Wang and Howraa Hammoud.
Hi guys. For today's presentation, we will start with the origin of our project, then move on to describe our user requirement analysis method and result, how we carry out the conceptual design and the detailed design after that. Then we will discuss completing the prototype and how we evaluate it. At the end, we will with our conclusions from the project. Yes. No one is born with the experience of being a parent. For parents, raising children is not an easy task. An important aspect of this is the mother's need to ensure that her child is getting proper nutrition daily. For infants and young children, the degree of refinement of diet beyond our imagination. Despite the vast amount of information available online, finding the right information is harder than ever. In addition to differences in nutritional needs, various mobile apps and websites may also provide conflicting information. Parents, especially novice parents, often lack enough experience to judge the correct of the information, which can make feeding your child even more difficult. Food labels are also discredited in this regard because they are not intended for a certain age group, such as infants and toddlers. For our project, our objective is to improve parents' knowledge of proper nutrition needs for young infants and children with a simple-to-use app that provides an all-in-one tool for providing parents with user-friendly accessibility to accurate information about nutritional needs for children. Next slide, please. In order to better understand users' expectations and needs and adjust and improve the project based on their feedback and opinions, our group uses literature reviews and interviews. To do this, we first searched for relevant articles, including some surveys and news, to get a professional understanding of our subject matter. Next. First of all, we choose to search and analyze different literature. By summarizing related articles, different news and journals, we got some information about existing infant nutritional related mobile applications. For now, not only parents, but also children can benefit greatly from properly sourced nutritional mobile apps. Parents want to be able to obtain some knowledge about nutrition and allergies at any time, and hope to have nutritional information with higher credibility. Despite this, user rating for existing mobile applications are not high, with an average of 64%. Part of the reason for this is that people complain that they have difficulty finding the information they need. For various reasons, the information in some apps is difficult to find, making it difficult for users to read or understand the content clearly. Next. We also conducted benchmarking to compare other competing products on the market. Through testing and investigation, we were able to get a better understanding of what exists and what we can improve upon. Our investigation included 7 mobile applications and 6 websites. In general, parents, middle-aged adults, and caregivers are the most popular users of the app. Most of these apps are free, though some parents are willing to pay for a subscription if they find the content useful. The problem lies in the fact that many apps contain conflicting information. Credible resources were difficult to determine. In addition, they often provide too much information, making it difficult to keep organized. Next. Additionally, we conducted a survey with 15 participants who are parents or primary caregivers of children. The age distribution was mainly between 25 to 34 years old, accounting for 55%, followed by 18 years old to 24 years old, making up 25%. 60% of them have bachelor or master's degrees. We found that 45% participants have used a nutrition app in the past. In addition, we were able to collect some suggestions and needs, including the need for nutritional information based on age range, safe foods for toddlers, easy wheeling of allergies or allergy information, measurement of serving portions or calorie intake for children. Next. Finally, we also conducted 3 groups of focus group interviews to discuss open-ended questions in a relaxed environment. We've learned that understanding children's nutritional needs is a struggle. Parents work hard every day to prepare the right meals for their children. They often cannot determine daily nutritional needs, including calorie intake and other types of nutrition. Despite the advice of pediatricians, they struggle to decide in the absence of details. It was clear that many parents had trouble determining which foods are safe for their children. Therefore, our users, who are usually parents, wanted something that was quick and convenient, something that could use their child's age and any medical conditions, such as allergies, to recommend food and daily nutritional needs. Finally, one of the most important factors was they needed the information of the app to be sure and credible.
We started our conceptual design with creativity in mind. Through brainstorming, ideation, and some pretty neat storyboards, we were able to come up with something that helped bring our app into life. Next slide. Brainstorming results. We initiated multiple brainstorming sessions, keeping in mind user needs and features we thought would best serve our app's purpose. We came up with 10 key terms and filtered our ideas based on how well they could be implemented and how feasible they were via relevant technology. In addition, we used a color code to rate our ideas from poor to great and organize them into notes. Next. Idea book and filtration. Not all ideas made it into our idea book. After narrowing down our top 10 ideas, we categorized them based on functions and feasibility. Our idea book was generated with a detailed description of each application feature, the technological scope it would require, and also given a rating. From there, we moved on to a strict selection process, identifying the key user needs and eliminating any ideas that did not meet our criteria. Next. Our conceptual storyboard. The next step for our conceptual design was creating usage case scenarios based on our users' initial feedback. We collaborated together to come up with ways we thought our application could serve parents best. We came up with multiple scenarios that highlighted our main features, ensuring that each scenario utilized TOTS tummies in a unique way. We decided to incorporate both caregivers and parents into the scenarios, each using the scenario as either a main feature or as a way to solve a unique problem. Next, low fidelity prototype. We then moved on into the beginning phases of our prototype. We addressed how the information would be organized, began simple sketches and design ideas. Information organization. When it came to our information architecture, we planned for our features to be organized into 5 different sections. We wanted a loose foundation in which we could build up our prototype and ensure the information structure was centered around many of the UI and UX processes we learned in class. Next. Wireframes and prototypes. We began with a simple sketch that modeled our information organization structure. From there, we moved on to a low fidelity prototype in Adobe XD, bringing our application into life. We took a traditional approach and narrowed things down and began incorporating some designs that we thought would be best for busy parents, taking into consideration placement of icons, general layout, readability, and the number of screens. Next.
Next, we'll get into how we took our wireframe and low fidelity prototype into a higher fidelity and functional prototype. So for our high fidelity prototype, we wanted to narrow down which features we were focusing on to ensure that they provided the best experience. The features that we selected were nutritional tracking, milestone achievements, and a meal guide. We believe that this combination of features would best help us in achieving our goal of helping parents feed their children by educating them on their children's nutritional needs. We used Figma for our prototype. We found its collaborative features and its prototyping features worked best for our project. The goal with this was to develop something that we could use to evaluate flow and allow test participants to interact with to get a good feel for how the app works. On that note, let's take a quick look at the first iteration of our prototype that we used to evaluate. So for this, we set up a sign-up process as well as a quick little intro survey where parents could set their goals for using the app. We also had the tracking feature set up where users could add food items by scanning a barcode where it would then populate it with the information based on that item. We also added a tab for milestones where users could see future milestones and goals that they had planned out for their children, as well as a meals tab where users could find food ideas based on their child's age and preferences and make food for their kids based on that. So for a little more information on the nutritional tracking app, this feature is kind of the main focus of our app where users are able to research food items by either scanning a barcode or manually searching for the item. It provides nutritional information and allows users to save details about how much and what their child ate, as well as how they felt about it. This feature is also useful because it saves the data to track trends and provide information to doctors if they want to review what a child has been eating. For the milestones feature, we are talking more about tracking macro goals as the child ages. So this could be something like introducing new flavors and textures or weaning a child off of breast milk. The app would come with recommendations that could be opted into or out of, but users can also add their own milestone goals. For the food guide, this part of the app is where users go to find recommendations for healthy meals that they can feed their kids. While there are a lot of recipe sites online, the goal with this one is to cater towards the user's children's based on their age and past food preferences. So that way it could be about making food with bite-sized pieces or avoiding ingredients that aren't recommended for younger children, such as honey or cured meats. Next, I'll pass it on to Howraa to discuss how we evaluated our first prototype.
So with the functional prototype completed, we were ready to move on to user evaluation. We collected data and we wanted to see what our users thought. Next. So the methods we used for our evaluation, as a group, we observed how our users interacted with our application. We used ethnography, we studied their facial expressions and how they interacted with the app itself. We waited to see how long it would take them to navigate from one screen to another. And in addition, we encouraged think aloud and focus group discussions where users led discussions about features, navigation, and general design of the applications. We also asked how often busy moms would pull the application out if they had an issue or wanted to use the app for feeding their children or keeping track of their children's diets. Next. For data collection, we compiled our data through an Excel spreadsheet, categorizing the data by age, name, number of children our participants had, and then their initial feedback. As a group, we looked at user feedback and then we proposed possible solutions that we could implement into our application. And then we also graphed the data to better understand the main focal points of the user feedback. We found that a lot of our users touched upon similar features and they gave general feedback about certain navigation of the app. Next. Results. The results were pretty interesting. The feedback showed that our screens were actually really complex in nature, especially for moms on the go. They wanted something that they could open, read really simply, and then just close back out. Navigating back and forth was also another thing that our users voiced was difficult to do. And then other users voiced that there needed to be better labeling, and that also a lot of parents have different priorities. And so that could differ depending on the child's needs. And so that was something our users told us to take into consideration, the unique used for each child. Next.
So based on this feedback, we had a lot of changes to make. As I'd explained earlier, we started our design with a tracking feature where users could track daily intake in high detail. However, based on feedback we received from medical professionals, we wanted to redirect that focus to avoid encouraging unhealthy eating behaviors in children and focus more on the child's basic needs when it came to their diet. So you can see here we changed from tracking to home with more of an emphasis on those specific dietary concerns. We also put the search feature up at the top of the app to add emphasis to it, as it's one of the key features in our apps. So on that note, we also made some pretty big changes to the search feature. So beforehand, there was a lot of emphasis on the food item and the specific nutritional information. But with this update, there's much more focus on the child's needs and any sort of concerns that may exist pertaining to that food item that has been searched. The feedback we received on the meals page was mainly about the layout and users finding it overwhelming. So we reorganized and simplified what we thought was appropriate and made the buttons match the rest of the theme to improve consistency. So based on these changes, we did pursue some follow-up results, and we were able to talk to the previous participants as well as some new participants. And while most of the feedback we received was positive, there was still some constructive feedback on improvements that could have been made. But due to time constraints, we haven't been able to implement those. So, we found that there was still some refinement needed on information for the food lookup page, as well as making sure that there's credibility behind our app and making sure that advice is proposed in a meaningful way. So looking back the past 2 semesters, we started by identifying an issue and defining our objective, and then developing and designing the features to achieve that. So, how could we promote good health and good eating behaviors with an app? Eventually, we developed our prototypes and conducted evaluations using them. This was a pretty drawn out process over the course of the past 2 semesters. But in the end, we had something that we were proud of, although a lot of work is required to bring it to a completed state. So some of the caveats are, with the limited time and experience that we had, more could have been completed with a bigger team and more experience. With the knowledge that we gained through this process alone, there are many aspects that we would approach differently if we were to restart from the beginning. I think one of the biggest opportunities we missed out on was involving someone with a pediatric knowledge to work with as an advisor throughout the process. However, that's now become a next step if the project were to continue. Additionally, we would want to partner with credible organizations such as the FDA or APA to get credibility in the eyes of our customers, and we would need to involve software developers in order to make our app a reality. So as we progressed, it became clear that in terms of what we learned during the project, it was clear that the more feedback we received and the earlier we received it, the more beneficial it was. So we found it to be very important to go to our customers, our target audience, and get their feedback as soon as we had the prototype available in order to make those changes. Additionally, we found that it was important to be able to look past your own preferences and really take the feedback to heart and make the changes to improve the app. There's always going to be unexpected challenges that arise, but it is important to be flexible and kind of adjust to those on the go. So that is our presentation. Do you have any questions?